Hey friend, please subscribe and like the video. 1 second for you, big deal for me. My name is Elaine Carter. I'm 44 and live on the north side of Fort Collins, Colorado, in a 2-bedroom condo with a view of the foothills that always made me feel like the world would hold, even when my life did not. By day, I'm an accounts coordinator for a regional home health company. By night, at least until recently, I was the woman who ironed 2 shirts, plated dinner for 2, and set aside 2 forks. The second fork was the one that kept me honest. If I took it away, something inside me would admit the truth. I'm alone. June 12th was supposed to be both our 12th anniversary and Mark's 46th birthday. I took a half day, drove down to a wine shop in Loveland for a Bordeaux he loved, stopped by a butcher to splurge on a bone-in ribeye I'd Googled how to reverse sear. I streamed a tutorial twice, then wrote steps in thick letters so I wouldn't panic about timing. I'm a paperwork person. I like lists that make chaos behave. I strung market lights across the balcony, pulled out our good plates, and placed the blue napkin he'd once said made dinners feel like we mattered. I even ordered a simple white cake, iced with, to us, 12, as if frosting could bless a day. 7 o'clock. I changed into a navy dress that made my shoulders look like they had a point. I put on a touch of lipstick, the color my mother used to call berry jam. 8. I lit the candles and texted. Me. On the balcony, steak resting. No reply. 9. I called. 5 rings. Voicemail. Hey, it's Mark. Leave it. At 10:18 p.m., an email pinged. Subject, late body, client emergency. Don't wait up. M. No happy anniversary. No happy birthday to himself. Just don't wait up, like my waiting was the bad behavior, the thing to be corrected. I blew out the candles, wrapped the steak, slid the cake back into the fridge, and took down the lights. I folded the blue napkin and pressed my thumb into it until a moon-shaped dent appeared. I did not cry. Grief requires witnesses, and my apartment had none. The next morning, I went to work, processed invoices, answered emails, lunch at my desk, baby carrots, and quiet. At 2:07 p.m., I did what I should have done at 10:18 the night before. I called his office. Mark resigned last week, the receptionist said briskly, as if reading a grocery list. No forwarding contact, best of luck. My tongue went dry. A memory reeled backward. The new leather satchel, the sudden strategy dinners, the cologne that wasn't ours, cedar and citrus too sharp. He hadn't been late for a client. He'd been leaving me in installments, and this email was just the last payment. I drove home faster than I should. The front door stuck like it knew better. I stepped in. The shoe rack had a blank space where his brown brogues lived. Mark, I called, because habits are louder than facts. He stood in the bedroom with a duffel half-packed and a hard-sided suitcase open like a jaw. There was a crisp navy suit I'd never seen, shirts I'd never washed, and a tie still with the store tag attached. "What are you doing?" I asked, and my voice sounded like someone else's, polite and lost. He didn't flinch. "I took a position in Santa Fe. I start Monday." "You resigned. You didn't tell me." I heard the last bit echo back at me. "You didn't tell me," as if the telling were the betrayal, not the decision. He pulled a manila folder from the suitcase and set it on the dresser. Inside, divorce papers. The date at the top might as well have been a toe tag. "You're a good person, Elaine," he said, which is always the preface to a cut. "But we want different things. You're married to your routines. It's like living with a calendar." "And you're married to what, exactly?" I asked. "New cities? New suits?" He zipped the duffel. "Don't make this dramatic. I'll arrange to transfer the lease. You'll be fine." "Who are you staying with?" The question left my mouth before pride could smother it. He paused, a half-second hitch the length of a truth. "A colleague. Adela," he said finally, like a man testing a name on his tongue. "It's not what you think." I stepped between him and the door, small as I am, ridiculous as it was. "After 12 years, you tell me in an email in a folder?" He shifted his shoulder, the gentlest nudge that still counted as brushing past me. The door clicked. I stood in the seam between carpet and hallway tile, clutching a sheaf of paper that called me petitioner. None. 2 days later, the property manager called. We received notice to terminate from Mark Carter. He indicated the remaining occupant will vacate by month's end. The remaining occupant was me. I looked around the living room, the couch we chose together, the lamp he insisted would warm a corner. Everything remained but the marriage, and the lamp seemed to dim in protest. I put the papers on the table and let them sit there like a sealed wound. Every time I walked by, I touched the top page as if it might change its mind. On the 4th night, I signed. My hand was steady. My heart learned it from me. The night after I signed, a high school friend messaged in a private group. Reunion at Telluride Tavern Saturday 7 p.m. Come if you can. I'd paid my deposit months ago when I believed I'd arrive on Mark's arm, proof to myself I had built something permanent. I almost stayed home. Then I saw myself in the mirror, hair pulled back, lipstick soft, eyes tired but not beaten, and I went. Telluride was loud the way memory is. Clatter, laughter, someone yelling, "No way!" like it was a spell to resurrect youth. I found a table in the back and was halfway through a ginger ale when a man with a day's stubble and warm fatigue said, "Elaine?" "Ben Morales," I breathed, surprised I remembered his full name. He used to be all elbows and a trumpet case. Now he had a teacher's calm and a single dad's eyes. We talked easy. He didn't ask for the autopsy of my marriage. He said, "How are you sleeping?" And I said, "Like a person learning how." I drove home along College Avenue with the window cracked to the June night and the radio playing a song I used to dance to in a kitchen I no longer owned. The chorus said, "It's not right, but it's okay," and for once it wasn't a lie. Sunday morning, as the coffee maker sputtered like an old friend, my phone lit Mark. "Lease terminates end of month," he said as if reading a memo. "You should pack." "Do I have somewhere to go?" I asked, to see if the question would nick him. "You're an adult," he said. "Figure it out." "Good," I said, the word tasting like steel. "I will. And Mark, don't call again." He didn't argue. He hung up. There was no cliff. He had stepped off it already. I put on a denim shirt and started boxing a life. I had always been good at inventories. I learned to be good at goodbyes. By month's end, I had a tiny Boulder apartment, 10 minutes walk from work. The balcony faced a green slope that caught morning sun like it was skilled. I taught myself to breathe before email. I kept my job but trimmed my hours. I bought 3 basil plants and kept 2 alive. Ben and I began Saturday coffees and Sunday hikes. No vows, no rescue performances, just the warm knowledge that someone would text when the thunder started to say, "Storm's moving east. You good?" and mean it. I did not check on Mark. The body knows not to touch the burner twice. 2 months later, at 9:52 p.m., my phone hummed with an email from Monsieur Carter. Subject line, FYI. Attached, a wedding photo. Mark in a new navy suit. A woman in a sleek column of white with camera-friendly cheekbones and the kind of effortless hair you only get with a team. He called before I could decide whether to open it. "We got married," he said, triumphant like a kid who'd won a prize he didn't pay for. Her name's Adela Wynn. She's the only daughter of the Wynn development family here in Santa Fe. Her father made me executive vice president. He let that title hang like a chandelier. There was one clap of silence on my end, the kind that says, "I heard you, and that's enough." "She's 3 months pregnant," he added, like an exclamation mark. "Congratulations," I said, because my mother raised me with manners sharp enough to cut steak. He kept talking. So much of our marriage had been me listening to the sound of him convincing himself. "She's not like you. She doesn't make lists for everything. She doesn't turn dinner into a schedule." "No," I said softly. "She turns it into content." "What?" "Nothing," I said. That night, insomnia found me at the small kitchen table, sipping water and curiosity. I typed Adela Wynn Santa Fe into a search bar. The photos were numerous and precise. Brunch launches, gallery nights, a charity gala. She had a podcast called Win at Home and an Instagram of spotless countertops. In one post, she posed with a Win Development hard hat captioned, "Family business, big dreams." I closed my laptop and let the silence finish my thought. We are story, not facts, until facts arrive. They arrive 7 months later, crying. At 6:11 a.m., my blocked number setting failed to recognize Mark calling from a landline. I picked up on reflex. "She's here," he said. His voice sounded new, thinner. "Our daughter. Named her Rowan." "Good," I said. "Healthy?" A pause. "They say yes, but, Elaine, she doesn't look like either of us." "Babies change," I offered, soft on purpose. "I did a DNA test," he blurted, like a man throwing a rope. "She's mine. I mean, of course she is. But Adela keeps turning away. Says she's tired. Says she needs the night nurse to bring her in only for feedings. She won't hold her long. He inhaled, the end of a sentence he couldn't stand to say. "She says she can't see us in that face." I leaned my head against the cool window glass. The foothills were a flat wash of winter gray. "Mark," I said, careful as stepping on ice, "have you ever shown Adela your high school photos?" "What does that have to do with anything?" "Everything," I said. "The face you photoshopped out of your life is still your face. There's nothing wrong with it. There never was. But it will live where it always did, in your blood." His breath fogged the line. "Don't be cruel." "I'm not," I said. "I'm thinking about a baby who didn't ask to be the mirror you refuse." He was quiet, then small. "What do I do?" "You hold her," I said. "You learn the pattern of her cry. You become the thing she turns toward, not away from." "I thought you'd tell me I deserve this," he said. "You don't deserve a child's pain," I answered. "But you are responsible for what you teach her about faces, especially your own." When he started to ask another question, I ended the call. Then I blocked the landline too. Some mercy is handed over, not held. Nearly a year passed. My days grew a rhythm that didn't ask permission. Work, Basil watered, Thursdays at the community art studio, where I learned my hands could be terrible at drawing and happy anyway. One bright September afternoon, I ran into an old friend, Maya, at a used bookstore. We caught up in the aisle between literary fiction and self-help like women do, fast, honest, elliptical. "You heard about Win Development, right?" she asked, voice lowered like gossip, softened like concern. "Local paper says they're over-leveraged, projects stalled, rumors about a federal inquiry." I didn't say anything. Sometimes silence is how I set a flower down. "And, this is uglier, parents at Rowan's preschool are awful," Maya added. She showed me a screenshot from a mom's group, a thread about teaching kids that plastic surgery is fine, devolved into snide jokes about DNA surprises. Someone posted a photo of a little girl with wide-set eyes, a soft, round nose, Mark's mouth, and wrote, "When mommy's brand doesn't come through." I felt something in my chest rise and break. Not for Mark, not for Adela, for the child whose face was being used as a punchline for her parents' vanity. I closed my eyes against the fluorescent lights and said, "People forget children can read." Ben and I walked that evening without speaking much. At the creek, he said, "What do you do with pain that isn't yours anymore, but still knocks on your door?" "I set a bowl of water out for it," I said, "and then I go inside and lock the door." I thought of calling Mark, then didn't. I cannot fix a house I no longer live in. 2 weeks later, news broke. Wind Development's flagship project, Coyote Flats, announced a halt. A local reporter used the word unraveled. The paper printed a photo of Walt Wynn, Adela's father, looking very tired beside stacks of glossy renderings. That night, a blocked email slid into my spam like an apology. Subject, help. Elaine. I know I'm the last person who gets to ask you for anything, but if there was ever a time to be kind, it's now. The company is complicated. Adela is, she's not well. Postpartum never really left. And Rowan, I don't know how to be the father she needs. M. I stared at the glow on my screen until the letters bled a little. Then I typed a reply and deleted it. I typed another and erased every word. At last I wrote just this. Mark, I'm not the person to teach you. But I can tell you how I learned. I looked at what I was afraid of, my own face in the morning, and I said, you can stay. Start there. E. I never hit send. Mercy sometimes is not contacting a wound. On a Sunday morning in October, I set up my easel at the community studio and painted a bowl of oranges like I was trying to memorize roundness. A woman in her 60s with paint on her shoelaces said, "You're getting the light right. That's the trick." "I thought the trick was the oranges," I said. She laughed. "It's never the thing you think it is it?" That week, my company asked if I could take on a mentoring group of new hires, women my daughter's age would have been if I'd had one. I said yes, before doubt could find a sentence. We met in the small conference room with the bad air. I told them what I wish someone had told me at 22. You think strength is silence. Sometimes it is, but more often it's a sentence that starts with no. After the meeting, a young woman named Keisha lingered. "How do you know when to leave?" she asked. "When you've already gone and you're just waiting for your feet to admit it," I said. She nodded like I'd handed her a key that fit a door she'd been pushing the wrong way. Winter came early to the Front Range. Snow like paper ash, quiet and covering. I was eating lentil soup in my small kitchen when the news flashed on my phone. Wind Development filed for Chapter 11. The article said there were allegations, countersuits, an interim CEO. The photo showed Adela from 6 months ago, smiling at a charity brunch, untroubled by the future her PR team couldn't manage. I did the same thing I always did with Mark's life. Nothing. Then I put on boots and went outside and let my breath make its little ghosts. In February, I got a note at work, addressed in an unfamiliar hand. Inside, on thick paper, was a drawing done with a blunt pencil, a woman holding a baby. The proportions were off the way honesty is. Head too big, arms too thin. But the feeling was right. The woman's eyes were a little wet. The baby's fist was gripping a shirt like a life. There was no signature. On the back, a line, "We are what we keep holding." I pinned it to the corkboard above my desk. On a bright April morning, I saw Mark across the produce section at the co-op. He looked, what's the word? Mortal. Not in a tragic way. In the way of men who have run out of mirrors and started using windows. He saw me see him. We stood with a mountain of oranges between us like a joke God wrote for my benefit. "Elaine," he said, and his voice was not a performance. He nodded at the cart. "We bake muffins now. Rowan likes to put the blueberries in. Too many. Always." "How is she?" I asked, because I am not cruel. She's funny," he said, and his mouth learned a new shape to make the word. "She tells me my hair is spiky wrong and then pats it spiky right. She has my mother's hands." "And Adela?" I asked, because truth doesn't like sore spots left to fester. "She's somewhere I can't fix," he said. He didn't elaborate. I didn't ask. People are not court cases. They are rooms you're invited into or not. He looked at the oranges. "Do you ever think about what we were?" I looked at him the way you look at a town you moved away from, not because it was bad, but because your street ended. "I think about who I am," I said, "and I try not to mistake that for who I was with you." He smiled a small, rueful thing. "I deserve that." "It's not a verdict," I said. "It's a weather report." We didn't exchange numbers. We didn't promise coffee. We took our oranges and went our separate ways, which is also a kind of mercy. In May, I turned 45. Ben brought a carrot cake with too much frosting and a birthday card that said, "To more basil, less drama." We ate on my balcony while the foothills did their reliable trick of turning gold at 7:30. "Do you ever miss the big life?" he asked. "I thought I wanted big because I confused volume with meaning," I said. "Turns out I wanted room." I lay in bed that night, with the window cracked to the soft city noises, and thought about Rowan. About children born into stories written before they can read. I hoped someone was teaching her that faces are good, that genes are not enemies, that love doesn't require proof you match a photograph. Sometimes people comment on videos like this and ask if I forgave him. Here's what I learned. Forgiveness isn't a gift I hand to the person who hurt me. It's the rent I stopped paying on the space they built in my head. I didn't rebuild a palace. I built a house with light and chairs that fit, and a bowl of oranges I keep painting badly and loving anyway. If you're listening to this and your candles burn down over an empty chair, hear me. You are not the absence someone left. You are the presence you learn to keep. Start with the face in the morning. Tell it you can stay. Set one extra fork for your own hunger. And when someone asks what you want now, don't apologize for saying room. Because in the end, that is what we all run out of when we live on someone else's calendar. And that is what I gave myself. Space, light, a second life, where the story does not have to be big to be true, and a blue napkin, folded just so, because some details are not about control. They're about care.